So what used to be an innovation yesterday is a baseline expectation today and is a weak differentiator tomorrow. So mediocre product with strong distribution beats good product with the poor distribution is not true anymore. We've built our own small agents. We've built our own skills to deal with the tenders. How you can convince that you are better? A switching cost, it became less powerful as LLM brings the cost of the migration to almost zero. It's not exactly zero, but still like there are a couple of examples. Cloud created something called switch to cloud that could copy your memory from the chat GPT. So you can easily go there.
What are they doing that's already becoming irrelevant?
That's a hard question. Every day, at least once a week, I think that I becoming irrelevant despite trying to stay on top of everything. The role of designer is changing. The role of engineering is changing. So, but if there's one thing I believe in is that everyone can be a builder, and this is true.
Hey everyone, today I've got Wiktor Sobolak with me, a fractional head of product, working with startups from seed to Series B, helping them build and scale product from 0 to 1 and beyond, something we desperately need nowadays in SaaS. He's worked across both early stage and scale-ups, including companies with over 100 million users, companies to work at, Text, before that LiveChat, and has been deeply involved in shaping product growth and AI native teams. We talk a lot about AI on this particular show, talk about AI native teams. I really want to dig behind the curtains and figure out what exactly that means. So this is something in a conversation we want to dig deeper into. So Wiktor is not someone, who's just seen product from every angle. He's also built it, scaled it, and fixed it, especially when it breaks. And big products tend to break a lot. He's the only guest who have been on the show the second time, so I can't wait to get into juicy bits. Wiktor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having me second time. I really admire your persistence with growing that podcast. I remembered first episode. You still have the same energy that you had at the beginning. It's not disappearing. I love it.
I appreciate it. I've said that on the show multiple times, and this one is that this podcast / YouTube thing, whatever, wouldn't have been possible if not for the growth meetup that you guys organize with your colleagues, because that's where the idea came from. I don't usually attend events, but when I attended your event, first, like the amount of energy that you put in to make sure that I delivered the best possible keynote or speech or whatever was great. The amount of research and revision that went into it, and the other fact that there is so many people out there interested to tell their stories and listen, it was what really got me the idea for this. So I think like you are welcome on this show anytime. I mean, you're part owner of the show. So I really appreciate that.
And you keep on bothering me when is the next meetup in Warsaw.
Absolutely. Wiktor, let's get into the juicy parts of things. So we were talking last week. There's a few things, of course, you have seen naturally. I have seen circle around social media, specifically LinkedIn. You also have the proximity of people that are very talented and, of course, very pioneers in their fields. So one of the things we were talking about is you want to challenge this statement. It was one of the first conversations that I've had on this show about distribution beats product plus brand, out of the park. So I want to start from there. What is wrong with that statement?
It's lacking nuances. So first, I agree. Distribution beats beats brand. It's becoming less effective, and we're now seeing with every new AI company, new AI disruptor coming in. It's really poor way of keeping your customers with you, and it's not gonna attract as many of them as it used to be. So it's getting less effective. I'm not gonna say it's irrelevant. It's still relevant, especially if you're in the red ocean, but it's becoming less effective. So I agree on that part. Now, distribution beats the product. It used to be true, but I really feel it's lacking some nuances, especially two of them. So first, it's the product in product-led growth especially, but also in product-led sales. When the product is the center of what you're selling, there is something called product channel fit. So the way you build your product really matters. The friction you build to enter the product, the way you monetize it, what's your business model, freemium, free trial, so on. Product is something that enable you certain distribution channels that can work for you. So if you have like low ticket value, like $50 or something, you cannot afford a big ABM campaign because your CAC can kill your business. So with that said, product enables certain distribution channels. We see a lot of disruption in the past years to the to these channels. So SEO is not as effective as it was. Outbound, it's getting much easier to scale it. So that also means it's become less effective. So certain distribution channels are going away. And I have experienced that with word of mouth channels decreasing at DeepL just because the competition was good enough to level that. So that's the one thing. The second thing is I really love how Elena Verna calls it, that we are in an era of product market fit treadmill. The product market fit is a moving target, and it's not something like in the past you acquire that and you have that for a long time. You still could lose it. It could be disrupted, but it took time. Now with AI changing how fast you can deliver to market, how fast you can ship, the competition can disrupt you. But then there's something change on the other side of the equation. So your users expect more from you. I see that expectation have risen. So what used to be an innovation yesterday is a baseline expectation today and is a weak differentiator tomorrow. So mediocre product with strong distribution beats good product with the poor distribution is not true anymore. Product need to take a lead to stay relevant, because if you're trying to distribute irrelevant product, that's not going to be very effective, and not even long term, but in the midterm, you will see decreasing that. So you cannot only work on the distribution and believe it's going to save you.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we have both obviously worked at companies where that product itself would just sell. You talked about low ticket volume. It's very SMB focused, so the TAM is huge, and people just go ahead and buy it because it of course solves a very particular need. And you talked about something interesting about the product market fit treadmill concerning Elena Verna in the comment that you made. So if it feels like the product market fit isn't something you get anymore, it's something you can lose fairly quickly as well. What's actually happening here? Is it the market? Is it AI? Is it the competition? Is it the fact that now SaaS is more saturated than ever before? What are we looking at here?
So I already mentioned the competition, and it's definitely, I think it's much easier to ship. Rising expectation. I feel also there is what was considered a moat in the past is not moat anymore. But let me give you also two examples from my experience. So I've seen a couple of companies, big and small, losing their product market fit. I remember a couple of years ago, I was working at DeepL, a translator with a huge distribution, more than 100 million users back then. And when the ChatGPT appears, the LLM translations became good enough. And what did that change? So before the LLMs, every other translation engine was poor, which gave DeepL a really strong unfair advantage. And it really had a strong word of mouth effect. And word of mouth effect is coming mostly from one factor: when you're giving 10x experience to the user, to something like 10x better than something that they know. It was usually back then a Google Translate that it understood the context of what you want to translate and keep it that way. Now, when LLM appears, the DeepL translation is still superior, but the distance changed. It's not 10x. It's like 20, 30, 50% better. It's not as distinct. And that made this channel word of mouth less appealing, and focusing on the consumers wasn't as effective. Company have pretty early recognized that, so that was a good move to invest in a portfolio of the products, move towards enterprises. So they're in a good path. But then even recently here at Minerva, the company that deals with the public tenders, I was listening to one of the conversation with the customer, And imagine mid-size construction company run by two guys in their mid-50s. And they're leading this company for like 20 or 30 years old from the very beginning. They created it.
Brick and
They're
mortar.
not they're not the youngest and construction company. You wouldn't expect a lot of innovation from them.
Sure.
But they came to the sales call with like, hey, we've built our own small agents. We've built our own skills to deal with the tenders.
Yeah.
How you can convince that you are better? So customer became your own competitor. That's really interesting from the where you can even lose this product market fit.
Interesting. Yeah, but also I think it kind of like ties back to the point I think we talked about last time as well, that AI has leveled the playing field so much, and a lot of the playbooks that a lot of companies that even had a great product market fit in the olden days, it's not applicable anymore because we're just, the target keeps moving and there's so much innovation happening so fast. So you're right, it's competition. It's about the fact that people can learn so fast they can become your competitor right away without even realizing it, and you're essentially unqualifying yourself out of the whole thing. So it's an interesting time that we're living in, which begs the question, I believe, of moats. We had companies in the past that would have a particular moat, like this is our branding, our product. The quote that we have, the years in the market is our moat, so to speak. And if that is something that is not true anymore, and if those are gone, what actually is defensible at that point?
That's a wonderful question. But let me start with what I see is not moat anymore. So huge, dense product portfolio. Let's start with the obvious one. If you have a lot of product portfolio or upselling customers between them, it's much easier to replicate that. So that's definitely not the thing. Now, a switching cost, it became less powerful as LLM brings the cost of the migration to almost zero. It's not exactly zero, but still, like, there are a couple of examples. Cloud created something called switch to cloud that could copy your memory from the chat GPT. So you could easily go there. There was a huge case of IBM losing a lot of value on the market by the report from Anthropic that cloud can easily understand COBOL, a language that is so legacy that IBM built the whole infrastructure of consulting, migration, maintaining that, and made a lot of profit from that. Something that was considered that no one could migrate. And a lot of legacy system like airlines depends on it. So it was still important. They made this migration much easier. And even like with CRM, when you have your data that you don't want to lose, there are a couple of new players that is positioning themselves that they will make it easy for you to get rid of Salesforce, SAP, HubSpot, whatever. And the last thing is brand. And here's my contrary opinion. I was never a strong fan of over branding your software. I believe it is a way to stand out in a red ocean. Like, just look at the post hoc. Them. It is not just another analytics tool. It's this hedgehog. But I don't believe brand is something that can hold on user for too long. Sentiment, yes, but convenience wins. And everyone feels they need to adapt. So what still matter? Speed. Speed can become your mode. A speed of execution, of speed of expanding your distribution channels, a speed of shipping. Just look at the Anthropic. Like, someone calculated that they had more than 70 releases in around 50 days.
My God, that's insane.
Yes, and like you just don't look at other competitors because you don't have enough brain power to understand everything. So innovation and speed of innovation really is strong. Then there are two things that are connected. It's the process power and unique knowledge. So process power is about building sophisticated process that deliver on the last mile, the last 10 missing percent.
Yeah.
Something that you cannot deliver through weekend hackathon when you can
Yeah.
build 80% of value in 20% of the time. This sophistication, the process power you can build to like fill that gap is something that can build a strong advantage, but it's temporary. That second thing that if you connect it with that is strong moat is the unique domain knowledge, especially if that knowledge is not on the internet. If you can, if you know like every supplier in your city, in your country, and they're not posted anywhere else, you can have the best prices just because of that. So that's something is not easy to replicable. So people that has been working in certain industries for 10, 15, 20 years
Yeah.
have a really huge unfair advantage in their head. And there's two more. So first is the data, unique data and connections of data. And that's pretty obvious. So right now, that's something that can build the value no one else has. And the last one, I believe it still works. It's the economies of scale.
Yeah.
But I would mostly focus on creating your unique data and unique knowledge, as that's probably the most lasting out of this. But I wouldn't bet that they're irreplaceable, that they're not gonna be gone in like longer period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It is something interesting you said about a lot of people with so much legacy knowledge trying to build things out. I have the same exact thing. I was talking to somebody about this on the podcast. Is that my playbooks are just pretty much wasted at this point. Things have changed so drastically. Even when COVID started, they changed quite a lot. And then, of course, you were able to pick things up because technology was somewhat similar. So, in the sense that you could just learn new things. And now, with the introduction of AI, the agents, and the way people buy, and so on and so forth, the cost is so cheap, and you can automate a lot of those things. It's very different. It's very difficult. So you're constantly kind of battling the fact that, hey, what is it that I need to do to not become irrelevant? I'm pretty sure a question that a lot of us are thinking in our heads, like, how do I stay up to speed with everything that is going on in trends? You said 70 deploys in 50 days or 70. There is so much to catch up on. By the time you've already learned and perfected something, Opal Cloud 2.0, 2.3, 2.2 will come in. And you have to kind of like start again in a lot of ways. So if you are someone who's a PM right now today doing everything by the book, a book that we have spent years, if not decades, learning, what are they doing that's already becoming irrelevant?
That's a hard question. I'm every day, at least once a week, think that I becoming irrelevant, despite
Right.
trying to stay on top of everything. Let's maybe start from different angle. What is not a mode in product management? A mode, I mean something that made you valuable and irreplaceable.
Yeah.
So what will not make you irreplaceable? So first of all, frameworks and knowledge. So there is a lot of people, including me, that had a lot of frameworks how to approach certain problems, certain situations, and it's still something that's giving you value. If you can juggle it really quickly, you can like solve the problem faster, but you're not gonna be unique with that, because with AI, it's the access to knowledge just so much easier. I have learned so much new frameworks I haven't knew in the past, just thanks to the AI, especially if you're entering a new area. Then documentation, like if you are good at creating, compiling PRDs, that's long
Yeah.
gone. There are a lot of tools that can replace that. Now, something really interesting that I believe is not a mode, but is still important, doing customer interviews. I do believe this is a really important piece to build your judgment and product sense, and you need to continue that. I have recently a really interesting conversation with ex-researcher from Google, And she was telling me about how the AI supported research looks like right now. And basically, you can have a tools that can recruit the customers. You have tools not only for the service anymore, but you have tools for doing the audio interviews with the customer. And sometimes it's even better because if you are talking
Sure.
about the sensitive topic, the human that is talking to machine might feel more comfortable being honest than talking with a human. So sometimes it's better. So it's about making qualitative data quantitative. And of course, it has some flaws. So the really deep exploratory call is not something that it could pursue. It's rather gonna pursue the scenario. But so, and also there's like product engineers, for deploy engineers that are talking with the customer. So it's not your mode anymore, but I still believe this is your very important piece of puzzle to build a product sense. And so what is still relevant then, as of now, it's about making decision what you need to build. So building a strong product sense, a strong judgment, at least for now, it's a mode. But I don't see that on its own because I really feel that you need to build a system that helps you to feed that. When I was talking about this voice of customer being, scaled, you need to build that system. You need to look through that and get this context so you can connect many different pieces, including, obviously, the most important, the business perspective. What can move your business better front?
Yeah, you mentioned AI a few times here. So did I, and I want to ask you something. It's been bugging. I said it in my intro, which is when people say AI native product teams, it sounds fantastic. It's sincerely one of those things when people tell it to me, and I'm like, well, they're doing something that I don't understand, possibly, but it's very vague. You can slap AI powered, my toothbrush is AI powered. What that means, I still have yet to figure that out. What does that actually look like in practice when people say AI native product teams?
I had the privilege recently to work with a really young team, a new generation of devs that are a native, I'd say. And first of all, it's about thinking from a perspective first. I remember with the growing boom of AI, Perplexity team in some kind of podcast mentioned that they always start with AI, whatever they starting doing. So like you need to use multiple agents for planning, execution. That's a thing right now. So QA also. But a personal story I have is that I wanted to teach these product engineers how to assess the onboarding flows of the users. And I wanted to build a simple tool based on the old framework from there is contractor to teach them how to step into user shoes, to help them build this product sense. It was about using the learnings of what can influence user motivation going through the journey and what can decrease that. And the tool was about them manually going through the flow, assessing it, and AI helping them by like giving them tips, like correcting them, and so. And the technical founder at Minerva asked me a super simple question: why not just use the AI? Why not just feed the AI and use LLM as a judge to do it instead of them, to assess everything? And it gave me this unlock that I was still thinking in an old way of doing something. I want to use AI to build stuff, but I tried to put AI in the box instead of allow it for the non-deterministic output to show its magic. So it's that it's the AI who judge the whole flow and only give you the output, so they learn on the output. So the whole process is already much faster. And this thinking is something that I see is really becoming more and more important. But also what is interesting is that roles might fade between themselves in a new product team. So I've seen designers and PMs doing a pull requests. My last designer decided to completely ditch the Figma and use the tool where he designed and coded in the same time, made the building the components that then product engineer took 10x faster, like whole delivery. Product engineers deciding on this design or talking to the customers is also a thing. So each role is fading between themselves, and it's about AI empowering everyone to go beyond their role. What creates a truly a native product team. And last thing is about building something I really strongly believe, building processes with the AI in the AI in the center. So even in my last advisor, around 30% of all customer tickets were fully solved by AI with linear plus cursor.
Yeah.
So there was a complaint, goes to the linear, and it was analyzed and fixed 100% by the AI, 30% of the tickets.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go, right? I mean, if there's low-hanging fruit and you can optimize it where human input is not required, like you should be doing that. That's part of that, what you talked about, AI native, or trying to get to be AI native right now. We talk about productivity. Literally, we just discussed it. There's an aspect of productivity that you can bring in by using AI tools. I've always been curious because I know what that looks like from customer facing roles when you're doing something and you're spending too much time on it right now. And it's probably not the most ideal thing that you should be spending time on, truly. On that lens, if you flip it and you look at it from a product perspective, what are products you spending way too much time on right now?
I'd say it's road mapping and alignment over shipping. Well,
That is so true.
Head of growth at Anthropic recently mentioned that even with the AGI, like build alignment with the 6 people in the room is hard, and there is something about it. So building alignment is still important, but on the other hand, I've seen a couple of weeks per quarter spent of planning, and like imagine you have your roadmap by the end of January and you're already 1/3 into the quarter and only their work start. I feel like classic roadmaps are becoming waste of time, and don't get me wrong, I still believe in a long-term planning, but in roadmaps longer than 3 to 6 months upfront, it's really hard to predict what's going to be because the ecosystem changed too fast and your assumption might be irrelevant in 6 months. So company strategy, absolutely.
Yeah.
Over debating everything to have a perfect roadmap for the whole year, 2 years upfront. I'm not going to even say about 2 years. Like 1 year upfront is, in my opinion, already a bit too long in certain scenarios. You can plan milestones, you can plan strategy, but not the whole roadmap.
Yeah. Part of the nature of the technology in which we operate is that it gets old pretty quickly in the sense that it's inundated. It's something new comes up and it's the next new shiny object. Was there something you purely believed from product lens 3 to 4 years ago that you not think was completely wrong looking backwards?
I really think that learning SQL will be my unfair advantage as a PM.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
I got this wonderful course for PMs for sometimes too stupid to understand everything. So like, here's how we can learn it. I do everything with the cloud now, and they're building much more sophisticated code than I would ever do. You just need to feed the your tracking plan to it. Beside that, I really believed, and I've learned that in some companies that a good product process requires a super strong documentation.
Oh, yes.
I've overcomplicated stuff on my own just to have the right plan. Now I have more balanced approach. You still need to plan a high-risk project with a lot of ambiguity to it. But on the other hand, you can verify assumptions much faster now. And if you ship something over conceptualizing stuff, you can go much faster. And even if I look 1 year ago, I'd probably skip building half of the documentations I have done in the past to the half of the projects. Now I would just work with the engineer to work it out much faster and just give him enough context so he can also figure it out on his own. And I will already letting 70 to 80% of the documentation to be done by AI.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to go about doing it. And I think like one of the worst things you can do is have that legacy information inside somebody's head, and it's always a nightmare. Pinging them, they're like, "Yeah, well, why can't you ping me?" I was like, "That's creating a roadblock, a bottleneck that we shouldn't really be having, especially with the tools and technology that we have in place." I want to talk about something, which is you've done product and growth, both very critical components for any company to grow. Is there a part in where both of these actually clash? So let me give you an example. I used to work in a sales team that was very intense in the sense that they would come back to the product, say, "Hey," and I'm sure you've heard of it. "We don't build this. We're not going to land this customer for $1.2 million." And you're like, "Okay, well, side, well, we got a roadmap and we got to you focus on that." But no, that would require you to create a 40% of your roadmap, and you have to build that out because they're going to get that customer. On one hand, when you bring the CEO in and they're looking at it and they're like, "Well, crap, that's $1.2 million in ACV and ARR. We need that. That would be great to kind of have that. It's a great boost of revenue." But at the same point, you're looking at it for the product lens. You're like, "Well, okay, but does anybody else need this other than this particular customer?" And most of the time, majority of the time, the answer is no, they don't. That's product being product. That's growth being growth. That's one clash. How do you dispute that? How do you fix that? Is there a way to do it? Is there a right way to do it? I still have not figured that answer out just yet.
It's about silos, right? We have different goals to land this deal as fast as possible,
Yeah.
or to build a really compelling product that's gonna build retention and especially that's important. That's problematic if like you build something and it has low adoption, right? I would say it's first of all, that's why I really a big fan of building a process with AI, because it can give you this broader picture of why it matter or why it doesn't matter. If you can show that yes, that's important, how much ACV that's gonna give us, but here are the things that can give us double of that revenue because 10 more clients want that, or this many clients ask that. So that's the one thing. Second thing is obviously about keep having a strong strategy and direction, because building that for that one customer might be unlocking you something, or you are in a situation where your perfect product doesn't matter. Perfect product doesn't matter. Your business need to live on, and it's need revenue faster than later. So
100%.
thing, I can't say how to fully solve that problem.
I don't think anybody has figured it out yet. You played by the ear.
Yeah, but when you the beginning ask about product and growth clashing, I usually think about growth in the product-led companies. And I was thinking like, hey, I have accusation toward both sides. And maybe let me talk about the accusation I have toward both. Starting with the product people, every product person should be a growth and business person. And that's non-negotiable. Releasing the feature is not the end. If your adoption is poor and you don't think about user flow, you're basically releasing a cute-looking work, bringing limited value to the business. Also, if you're not thinking about monetization, if this can, and you focus only on retention, we know no, it's important, but not considering if this thing you ship can help us win those clients, or it can have impact on upselling to the higher plan, or it can help activating new users. If you're not thinking this way, it's a huge fail. Then toward the growth people, I mean, in terms of sales, I have a problem that the incentive is the wrong place. I mean, too often the incentive is to close deal ASAP, not to build long-term sustainable pipeline. But then there's other part of the growth. So go-to-market people or growth product managers even like they're over optimizing small surface area, launching a dozen of small experiments with the growth hacks and copy changes. It's still all important. It was used to be said that 80-20 is the perfect ratio of no optimization, like no experiments areas you are most confident about, and 20% of the big bets. Right now, with this product
100%.
market fit fading, I would go closer to 50-50. Like more big bets. That's what is moving the needle today. And this other thing is that other accusation is over testing. So experimentation, I've seen so many people that are like evangelists of experimentation, and that's a good thing. Experimentation is the scientific approach to building a product. You are running tests, you have your hypothesis, you have your statistical significance, you're calculating. That's all important. But experimentation is just a tool of making the decision if you want to go with A or B. And you need to have a really strong criteria when you should run experiment or not, because this is expensive shit. You need to build this experiment. You then need to clean after this. And most important, you need to wait. The time is the most valuable source, I believe, right now. And the testing requires you to have enough users to reach this statistical significance to get rid of the false positive, false negatives. So if you're over experimenting, you're just wasting time. You should just make the decision and like have your criteria straight. If this is sensitive area, if it's monetization area, you might want to run experiment that. But I've seen people experimenting on the settings, believing that it will increase the adoption of the feature by like 20%, 10%.
Yeah. Well, wishful thinking, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I want to talk about something. You're moving to advisory now. What are you seeing something across companies that a lot of people are not currently noticing for the most part? And I think that's one of the more advantages of being in that role is because you get to learn a lot faster than most people. If I'm working with company X, I only have visibility into company X. Whereas when you're looking at a more broader picture, you can do a lot of comparison, which puts you in a very unique position for the most part. Is there a trend, something you're noticing, an opportunity for the most part?
I'm going to say from my perspective, I mentioned a couple of times building a system. I see everybody is using AI, and this is really good to see. But not many teams build cross-team systems. And this is something that will push the whole company forward rather than just
100%.
individual output. So my thinking is recently around product ops. With product engineers and forward deployed engineers, you have much more people out there on the battlefield talking to the customer, and that's a good thing. But also from my experience, I was recently even hiring for the product engineer role. I see still a huge gap between the product sense and judgment that the experienced product manager has and the product engineer can have. And I don't want to glorify product managers here. There's a lot of accusation towards their product sense as well. But what I want to say is that this new approach, we talk about a native teams, requires a new system that will fit much broader context to those who build for user and make those decisions, especially customer voice and business perspective. So in the past, it was one of the product leaders I admire said, I know it was maybe in the podcast, that if you need a product operations, you probably have hired wrong people or there's something wrong with your processes. And I agreed with that. Now I believe that what was used to be channeled through product managers now need to become a system. Even Y Combinator in their latest call for startups is focusing is calling for cursor for product management.
100%. Perfect. Then I want to ask you about something. I know a lot of people that watch, I get a lot of comments now. People ask you for advice just generally that, hey, could you talk about a certain topic? And one thing I hear again and again is like, most of the people that I speak to have a wealth of experience, such as yourself. They've been doing this for years and trying to perfect it. And then Now we have a new paradigm in a way where, the market is shifting, the trends are shifting. And one thing they ask me is that, okay, with that knowledge and experience and everything and the new technology, or we're at the cusp of it, if you had to start from scratch today, what would you do completely differently, knowing what you know now and have what you have now in terms of technology and space?
That's a hard question.
Yeah. There you go.
I'd probably would go towards engineer role, and I would focus in the industries that will be definitely important in the future. So think energy or space industry. It might be something like this, like completely changing my career path. But in terms of product, oh, that's hard. If you want to become product manager, it's hard.
Man, I don't even know what advice to give.
I have one. I would start building stuff. And like,
100%.
I really believe everyone can become a builder now. That's the best way to build this probably strongest mode we can have right now, building this product sense. You're talking to customers. If you're shipping that, if you're talking to them, you are building this product sense. So
Yeah.
you need, and you are learning how to build, how to like all of the crafts from design, engineering, you will be learning from that. So go out there and start building something.
Yeah, 100% great advice. I want you to make a prediction now that we have AI. I've spoken about it with a lot of people where they say, if you fast forward 2 to 3 years from now, change is happening so fast, things are going to look different. What's going to look completely different about product teams in 2 to 3 years, knowing what you know today and looking at it future forward?
I would give my most honest answer is I have no idea. I listen to many smart people. They have their opinions. They're talking about new structures, old structures. Some people say there's bigger need for PMs. Others say PMs are the bottlenecks. The role of designer is changing. The role of engineering is changing. So I want to learn more. But if there's one thing I believe in, is that everyone can be a builder. And this is true. I don't think everyone should be a builder. They don't have like enough characteristics of the builder, but more people can be builder, and maybe product builders will be a new position in the past, combining all of the classical product trio, engineering, design, product management. And I'm pretty sure there will be companies creating these kind of jobs, but I'm also certain of the different thing. Humans adapt in a different pace. So the distribution of the new way of working is not going to be equal. There will be companies doing things in an old way. Even now, there's still a lot of Scrum Masters and Agile coaches being hired. And I haven't seen that in modern development for a long time.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's a place for everyone, right? At the end of the day. I think that the folks that will succeed at the end of the day is that how quickly they're able to adapt. And I was speaking to somebody that said that you got to be a generalist in a lot of ways. Sure, you can have a specialization, product growth, what have you, but you have to know how other operations work, because that puts you in a unique pace of where if you need to pivot, it's a lot easier to pivot from 10 than it is from 0 for the most part. I think that's kind of like where we're at. Remains to be seen, man. I'm curious where everything goes. But this is very valuable to be, always making notes. So this is always super helpful. Victor, talk to me about where can people find you? I know you got some changes coming up. Also upcoming projects or anything or talks or events that you're excited about. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that.
So now the best way is LinkedIn, but I'm finally cooking my own website. So gonna be there. You might hear some more from me about me creating the content.
Nice. What format?
Probably writing.
Great.
But give me time for that. For now, if you want to talk with me, if you need my help, just DM me on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, Victor, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Appreciate you coming on. I'd love to meet you at the next event or possibly before that. So hopefully we can find that opportunity. So whatever that happens, I'd love to carry this conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Whenever we can meet, let's grab a water and Doug. It was really nice talking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, if you got value out of this, share it with someone who needs to. All right. I'll see you next week. Thanks, you.